Welcome to PNRShow, Season 1, Episode, what are we on, 16? Bombshells.
Oh, it sucks.
I'd rather have lager than light. I'll take a strong stout over stride. I prefer to confer with a half pint of ale than live a long life till my private parts fail. For life without liquor is to no avail. So bring me lager for life. I'd rather have lager than light.
A long, long lime ago, and a Corona far, far away. The Pint of No Return, Episode 16, A New Beer. It's a dark time for the podcast. Rebel Brewery forces race against time and space to bring you mediocre entertainment and beer. But the evil empire moves to stop them once and for all, to let thirst, the dark side of the poor, reign through the interwebs. And our intrepid band of drunks, led by the brave Keith Steinwalker, Old Beer Gone, Gary Noby, Jeremipio, fluent in over 6 million forms of pasteurization, and Robbo Canrissian, super stud and all-around devilishly handsome scoundrel, battle on to quench the thirst of both of their listeners. So, for all those stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herders out there, it's the Pint of No Return Show!
How's it going?
I sense a theme.
I sense a theme.
I really wanted the dead air just to sit there.
No.
Just sit there.
We don't have time for dead air.
Can't do a dead air. It's a show. We got a show, man. We got stuff to talk about. And I am not Jar Jar. Gary he just wrote that I was Jar Jerry. That's pretty funny. I did not want to invoke the name of Jar Jar. Anyway, so apologize for the quality of the intro, but I wrote that in 5 minutes. This is actually episode...
You don't make them up on the fly?
Yeah, if on the fly you mean like in 5 minutes, then yes.
I just thought you did it as you said them.
No. That would be
I didn't know you pre-wrote them.
Does that lessen them in your mind?
No, now I want them published.
Oh. We're going to have to go back and transcribe them.
At least one of us prepares.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Thank you.
5 minutes before
Thank
the show
you.
is 5 minutes more than anyone else.
All right, so on episode 16, first of all, our thanks go, as always, to the Poxy Boggards and specifically Stu Venable for the use of his music, our theme music for the show. And you can find his stuff and the Poxy Boggards stuff at iTunes or at their website, pintofnoreturn.com.
So that's our website.
Or the PoxyBoggards.com. Sure, ours. You can see their stuff on ours too. I'm adding.
We'll link to them.
Right. So thanks to them, and also thanks to Robo Boogie for our lovely, lovely emblem there, our logo, and they did great work, and we appreciate that. And maybe at some point we'll see some products out of that, but that's okay. Gary has got a shortened time frame with us, so we're going to go right to the beer. And
I need to jump in first. We have one more company to thank this week.
Well, I thought we would be thanking them next week.
No, not that company.
Oh,
different.
Now, this week, I would like to just send a special thanks out to PG&E for Jeremy's half-lit house. Making special mood lighting for us.
You guys,
thank you, PG&E of San Francisco.
You folks did not get to see our pre-show, in which we found out that Jeremy, occasionally his house is only powered in half of it. It decides to randomly shut off various zones. I thought it was some kind of California trying to save power thing, but Gary informs us that at any moment his house could just spontaneously combust. So he's coming to us from a darkened corner with just a little bit of light behind him.
Yes, he's found a flashlight and one outlet that works to plug his laptop into.
Yeah.
So he's here for us.
Yeah,
that's dedication right there.
Router and the modem are powered, so we're good.
Yeah. So, we're going to start our Texas set of brews that I had sent out to the guys. Now, I say we're going to start it because next week we've got a special little surprise coming to all of you that we'll talk about at the end of the podcast tonight. But for now, let's go into the first of our Texas beers, and this one is from Southern Star Brewery. That's a brewery about 3 miles from here. Well, maybe a little more, 6 or 7 miles from here, right here in Conroe. Southern Star Brewery, and they've got for us a Bombshell Blonde Ale. And they make about 5 or 6 different types of beer at any one time, and some seasonals as well. Bombshell and the Pine IPA, which we'll do in a few weeks. Yeah, Keith just likes the pinup girl.
Oh yeah.
They do lovely tours at Southern Star, which basically you pay $5 for a nice glass, and they give you a handful, 3 or 4 wooden nickels, and basically use those to just fill up your glass. And then about 20 minutes in, a guy will come up and stand at the top of a set of moving stairs, and he'll say, "Okay, here's the vat where we ferment the yeast. Here's where we do this and put the bottles in, and there's where we store it over there. Now go ahead and drink." It's literally like a 5-minute tour. He just points there, there, and there, and then the rest of the time you get drunk. But what's great about Southern Star Brewery is that this beer is not pasteurized. So you can get drunk a lot quicker. It just goes right to your head and goes pretty easily. This is my favorite of their beers, and hoping that you guys will enjoy it. Anything you want to say before we crack it?
I just want to say I think more craft breweries need to use cans. Beyond the fact that they just recycle better and are a better shape for storage and such and transport, there's so much room for awesome art. Screw the labels.
Yeah, their logo's pretty cool.
Yeah, you get the whole can wrapped around.
Everybody.
Yeah.
If you have a choice between a can and a bottle, and you're buying your favorite craft brew, grab a can.
Yeah, when I say
this.
when I say that Southern Star is a small brewery, I mean to tell you that the warehouse is maybe, I'll say, 6,000 square feet. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Not big at all.
So smaller than your house.
Well, no, my house is about 3,000, but that's okay. It's tiny. I have not walked the distance yet, Gary. Thanks. But it's not a big brewery at all. But they're pretty popular around here. So anyway, unfiltered, unpasteurized Bombshell Blonde, and we got 5.5% on the alcohol by volume, and it is an American blonde ale. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
Nice and foamy.
Mm-hmm.
Foam right away.
Keep it away from your computer.
I had it up by the mic on my headset, and I got splashed with foam when I opened it.
Yeah, you get nice, large heads with these blondes.
Yeah, it's pretty good size.
Oh, it's got that lovely wheat malty aroma coming off of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that smells great.
Almost a little lemony.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
little zesty. Yep.
Yeah, little lemon zest.
A little yeasty. Not too bad.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else in there that we might not have missed, but let's go. Do it. Prost. Enjoy a little taste of Texas.
Well, that's pretty easy to drink, I can tell you that. I can see why you guys would like this on a hot Texas summer day.
Yeah, that goes down really quick.
Great beer for the weather right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's 60 degrees and raining here, so.
Well, we're having one of our rare heat spells where we have above 90-degree temperatures here, and it's pretty warm where I'm drinking this beer right now.
Yeah.
And man, it is going down real easy.
Easy in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
Okay.
It's real clean. I mean, it's unfiltered, unpasteurized,
Yeah.
and you can kind of taste that difference. It's got a little bit more, I don't want to say maybe like natural taste to it as opposed to some of the bigger beers that have gone through lots of various iterations until they get into a bottle or a can or keg. But this has got, I don't know, kind of that homegrown little bit of flavor on it, and it's really good. It is very, very refreshing. I think is probably the best word I have for it. Kind of got a little bit of Pilsner taste on the back end, probably kind of whatever yeast and malts they're using, but it's good. I mean, it's good. I'm gonna give it an 8.
All right.
Yeah, I echo pretty much everything Gary said. Easy to drink. I'm getting kind of a lager, more of a lagery pilsnery flavor than an ale flavor, and not, or maybe
Yeah.
it reminds me of that. I don't, not exactly like, maybe a little like an Anchor Steam.
Anchor has a lot more body than this.
But not a good body.
It's not super carbonated. Nice light bubbles. I think that contributes to the easy to drink character.
Yeah. I would agree
But
with
yeah,
that.
really good beer. I'm going with a 7 on it. It's nice.
You know,
Wish I had a couple more.
It's really mild, which normally leaves me wanting in a beer. But this is, it's just so really unoffensive that it works, being so very, very, very mild in flavor. And I think that, and combined with the texture, the very light, small bubbles, make it so smooth, and it goes down like a glass of water, which I think more than the pasteurized is the way you're going to get drunk fast with this thing, because you can just slam these.
You just drink them down.
Well, you're
Oh my
saying it
God.
goes down like a glass of water, but you're not saying it's watery.
No,
No,
I'm not saying
no.
it's water, but it goes down that clean.
Yeah.
It just,
No.
you can just literally just, as much as you can get in your throat, you can just take this. There's nothing to hold it back.
The the Utah, a couple of those beers that were those 4% because of the laws they have there. Some of those were a little watery. This actually has a flavor profile,
Yeah.
but it goes really, really well. I mean, I don't know.
Just a hint of citrus kind of in the finish. It's perfectly balanced, even though it's so very, very light tasting. I mean, it's an 8. This is easily a really great beer. This should be nationwide. Everybody should be able to get this.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
like it. I really, really enjoy this beer. It's my favorite of their brews. I like to describe it as very creamy, almost like a cream ale. It's just got a really nice kind of a thickness to it. I'm not talking like stout thickness. I'm just talking about the flavor profiles that you're saying, and I kind of get the malts that they use. I think really add to the wheat that you taste. I taste a lot of that wheat lagery stuff on the back, and I think the malts kind of round it out and just kind of fill it in, and it just kind of, I don't know, for me the taste of it just kind of carries through from start to finish, and it almost does have kind of a progression. In some beers you taste, well, here's the bitterness here, and then here's the bitterness of the hops here, and then here's a little of the malts or whatever is in there and on this part. But this one, I feel, really kind of goes to start to finish in kind of a progression that I really, really like. Mm-hmm. And I would also I would be right with the guys and give it an 8 as well.
It says on the can that they use German Vienna malts, and you can kind of get that in the flavor.
The Vienna malts.
that.
The Vienna malts are very, very popular in Texas. We had that with Shiner and some of the other Texas beers that I've had. It's very, very popular here.
Yeah, the Viennas are what's normally used in a Pilsner. So.
Yeah. That's where we're kind of
Those
getting
sort of light lagers and stuff.
I mean, it does have a little bit of that Pilsner taste, I would agree, but I think that blonde, kind of that fuller body blonde, that creaminess really shines through for this one, for me. And very drinkable.
That rounds up to a 7.75 or pretty close to an 8 for us. Your Advocate score is an 84. It's got a good number of ratings, 427 ratings on Beer Advocate, so that's good.
That's a good score for Beer Advocate.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good number of rating for a super local brew like that.
Very local. I mean, it's pretty widespread throughout Houston, but I don't remember ever seeing it like in Austin or San Antonio or anywhere else, but the Houston area. So.
Yeah, this is a great beer.
Yeah. I need another 6 or 8.
Come on down to Texas, yeah.
Moving into May, which is late spring, heading into summer. This is like something that should be in every beer aisle.
Yeah, the Pine Belt. I think it's Pine Belt IPA that we'll try when we pick these back up. I think you will really like as well. It's got some really really bitter hops in it, so we'll see how that goes. But okay, so 7.75 for a Bombshell Blonde. Go out and buy it. Come on down to Houston and get yourself some. I invited the guys. I sent a message to them last week. I said we need some kind of a gathering, get together and just like drink beers for a week.
We could do that.
We should do that, especially since I've actually never met Gary and Jeremy in person. Keith, have you guys ever met? No, never met them in person.
I don't believe they're real people. They're just my virtual friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got close to Keith's house. Well, in the same state. I got it in the same state.
That's close-ish.
Yeah.
It's a bigger state than most people give it credit for, but we'll take it.
Hell
of a lot closer than California.
Yeah. I probably flew over Rob's house. All right. So what are we on to next before I have to bug out of here?
Rob, you're muted.
You're either muted or dropped.
Rob, you've dropped.
I'm the one that's supposed to drop, not Rob.
All right. Well, I got something to fill with while we wait for him.
Okay.
I posted this on our website PNRShow earlier this week, but there has been a man to break the magic 5-minute mark in the beer mile. Did you guys see this?
What is the beer mile? No, I didn't see it.
A beer mile is the best part of Olympic sports and drinking beer. It is a beer mile is you have four times around the lap to around the track to get to a mile, and every time around you have to slam a beer as you go.
Oh.
So you do slam a beer, you do a quarter mile, slam a beer, quarter mile, slam a beer, quarter mile.
Nice.
Until you finished. So nobody's been able to do this in under 5 minutes until last week.
Nice.
So for more details, you can go to PNRShow.com and look up that link for the 5-minute beer mile. But now that Rob's back, we can get into what I can only assume is going to be a lengthy Star Wars.
Oh my goodness. We live in a world where Star Wars Episode 7 has been cast and they're filming and it's happening. When we've, as of this broadcast yesterday, they published a photo of at least most of the cast of Star Wars Episode 7 sitting around a big old room in London somewhere doing a read-through of the episode. And I'm sure most of you, if you are geeks out there, already know most of the actors who have signed on, but for those of you who haven't, you've got the big three. There's Mark Hamill, there's Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher coming back for Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker. We've got some new actors. I think Adam Brody, who many of you will know from the HBO series Girls, is coming on. We're told to be a villain. Jason Isaac, who is in a really good movie from last year called Inside Llewyn Davis, has come on. We don't know what part he's going to play. And I think her name is Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley, who is a really unknown. She's been in some small stuff, TV and other things in Britain, but is really an unknown, which is kind of a common thing to do in Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then John, I think it's John or it's Jason? John, I think it is, John Boyega, who is in Attack the Block. Another really good film has come on. And the word is he's going to be playing a Jedi.
Yep.
But also in the cast, we are told from the picture, Andy Serkis, Gollum, and who's done movies as Planet of the Apes and King Kong. He is going to be in the film, and Max von Sydow, Ming the Merciless himself, is in a Star Wars movie. I cannot tell you what kind of giddiness that brings me.
He was in Strange Brew, right? Which is
role.
What's that?
He was in Strange Brew, I think.
Yes, he was. He was the
Which really is,
Brewmeister Smith.
That's his best role ever, and can't top that. Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars is just.
He's been in some movies over the years.
Oh yeah.
And your R2D2, C3PO, and Chewbacca are also coming back.
Yes, Peter Mayhew's coming back as Chewbacca. Kenny Baker, well into his 80s now, is going to come back to be R2D2. I don't know in what capacity.
He's going to do the voiceovers.
Yeah, the beeps and bops. Anthony Daniels as C3PO. So I wanted to throw it out to you, and I'll start with Gary because I know he's just about as much of a Star Wars fan as I am for his reaction to the casting announcements of Star Wars 7.
I think it's great that they're bringing back some of the old characters. I hope that the script actually leans more toward the new characters because that's the direction they're going, is kind of making everything new by throwing out the expanded universe and kind of doing their own timeline after Return of the Jedi. Not to diss Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, but I think if they're going to kind of do a soft reboot of the series, they're going to need to let those young actors shine. And I think they have some really great people in there. I'm kind of excited to see a newcomer. Hopefully she acts better than some of the newcomers they had in the other ones. I actually posted a link in the show notes. I don't have time to talk about it. Maybe we can get it on another episode. Somebody posted a criticism about their casting in that it's by and large males. There's only two female actors in that picture, Carrie Fisher and Daisy
Ridley,
which I thought was interesting. But Star Wars has always has had a lot of different people in movies, but kind of focused on a few main characters. And the sense is that Daisy Ridley is going to be one of the main characters. And J.J. Abrams has also stated that there is a female lead role that has not been cast yet. Or they haven't announced.
Want to announce yet.
Or they haven't announced yet. So, so I think it's great. They're starting filming. I'm just really bummed that we have to wait till next December.
Well, that's not. I mean, we said this before on the podcast. For a Star Wars film, that's not that far away.
They're just going to hire
a year and a half
of animators.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Supposedly Gary's going to run. So let me just tell you a couple of things. Thanks, Gary.
All right. Thanks for the beer. It was good beer.
Thank you. A couple of things. Okay. Go ahead.
My pick for this week, which I obviously am not going to do, I'm saving for next week, so don't steal it, Keith.
We won't even talk about it.
I've already stolen it.
Okay, so just a couple of points on what Gary said before Jeremy and Keith give their thoughts. What rumors have said is that the episode 7, at least the very first of the trilogy, is going to focus on the 3 older characters. Specifically, it's more than likely going to focus Does anybody else feel that kind of rush in their head from that beer? I'm feeling it. Wow.
Yeah.
Woo. The first one's going to focus, we're told, mostly on Han Solo. And then they're going to gradually kind of bring in the other characters so that by the second and third movie, it's going to be all about them, which I think personally is a good idea. But I don't want to go too much more into what I think. I want to hear what Jeremy and Keith think. What do you guys think?
Well, you've just told me everything I know about the casting. I have been incredibly busy this week and have not had time to read anything. But that sounds like a great plan. Focus on the three big characters, the characters that were such a core part of the real Star Wars movies.
It grounds
Yeah.
the movie. It
Yeah,
grounds the trilogy. Yeah.
and it brings it back to the real story, not that prequel crap. So
Right.
I think that'll be interesting. See where it continued from Jedi. So I'm looking forward to it optimistically,
Yeah.
which is uncharacteristic for me. Maybe it's the bit
Lens
speaking.
lens flares ahead. Keith, how about you?
Ooh, wait.
I'm kind of got mixed feelings on focusing on the ancient three there, and mostly because of their age. Star Wars has always been a young characters game. Jeremy, what are you doing?
Lens flares.
There you go. Perfect. That's awesome.
Animators.
Thanks again to PG&E for our special lighting tonight. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little concerned that you're going to make a Star Wars movie about a 50 pushing 60-year-old smuggler, and his aging Jedi friend and his even more aged wife. Who or may not be his wife, I don't know. With the storyline change, who knows if they're married now, or back to just being friends who yell at each other in
You
hallways.
just kind of described the fan base.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I don't know, but Star Wars in every other movie, prequels included, it's always about very young characters. So
Well,
I don't know where we're going
at
here.
its core, yes, I would agree with you that it's about younger characters, but I don't think that I don't personally have a problem with because they're going to start with the older
No, I understand.
and
I
shift,
understand.
and I think that's why.
But I think they need to make a really, really good foot forward. First film's got to come out of the gate strong as hell. Otherwise, this fan base is gonna turn on them so fast.
But yeah, it's true, and I mean the haters it hasn't even been a day since the cast has been started, and there's a lot of people already criticizing what's going on.
I'm a little concerned just because of the ages, but in general, I think it's okay. I think I want to see the story of the older folks. I want to see Luke in a walker, using the Force to keep his own body up.
They said that Luke Skywalker, that Mark Hamill's going to kind of fill the Ben Kenobi role.
Yeah,
in this movie. He'll be the Jedi, the trainer. Of at least one of the characters will be a young Jedi, if not a few of them.
Well, I mean, if there's going to be more than one Jedi, it doesn't matter. At some point they had to have been trained by him.
Right.
He was the only one.
Right. He would have tried to rebuild the core. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had to. If he didn't train them directly, he trained their trainers. Because in these 30 years, there was one Jedi, and now if there's at least three, they all know Luke. So
I just never thought in my life, even after the prequels, I never thought in my life I would see this happen, and I'm cautiously optimistic. Probably a little less cautious than Keith is. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be amazing. I really like J.J. Abrams as a creator. I thought the two Star Trek movies were great. And I know a lot of people, my friends of mine, really hated the second Star Trek movie with Benedict Cumberbatch in it as Khan. I actually loved it. I thought the second Star Trek movie was really good. And I love Alias and Felicity and all the stuff that he's done. I think he's a really talented writer and a good director, and I'm sure, at first word, the script centered heavily on the young characters, and the older three were just kind of in the background. I think that changing that around, at least for the first film, is a wise move. It really shows that he's a fan of this franchise, and he knows what some of the older ones of us who started out with the first three movies kind of want to see. and we're willing to go on that journey where he wants to go with the younger characters. But let's see what happens to these guys. And these guys were literally probably running the government now. I mean, Princess Leia is probably the head of the Imperial Senate, or the old Republic, the New Republic, for whatever it's called. It's probably the head of that. Han Solo is probably the head of the armies, the military leader, and
The Smugglers Guild.
yeah. So I think it's really cool. I'm hoping that they find a way to bring Lando Calrissian back in. That would be really neat. I heard he's gotten into major shape since since dancing show. What's it called? So You Think You Can Dance, or whatever it is. Who Wants to Dance? Who Wants to Be a Dancer? I don't know, whatever that one that my wife loves. So December 2015. Again, not that far away for a Star Wars film. When you consider that there were 3 years, there was a 3-year gap between making those films, and they were basically made back to back. What this says to me is another good thing, and something that J.J. Abrams has said. He's going to do some CGI, yes, special effects in that way, but he's going to do a lot of practical effects, miniatures models, and kind of old school tricks that he wants this Star Wars to have that feel that the first 3 had. And again, I think that's great news.
That is, because that's something that was really missing in the prequels.
There was no sense of imagination.
No.
When you're given CGI, listen, CGI is an awesome thing. It has, Lord of the Rings, one of my all-time favorite movies and movie series, relies almost exclusively on CGI for all of its big effects. And so, I mean, I love it. It can do a lot of things, but sometimes, especially in the hands of Lucas with the sequels, it took away that sense of wonder and that kind of excitement that you look at the first Star Wars movie, and yeah, it's kind of dated, and maybe for some it doesn't hold up as well. I know that those are practical effects. I know that those are models, but for some reason those seem real to me, as opposed to watching a star battle in CGI in the sequels. That's just me.
Yeah, I agree. It gives it a character.
Yeah.
And there's something that the first movie might look a little old-fashioned still, but it still holds up as a story. And that's part of that is because they had to focus on the story. They didn't have computers. They couldn't make it shiny and flashy. So they did the effects they could, but the story carried the movie, not the effects.
Right. The effects it just accentuated the story.
As effects should do.
I mean, you had the practical effects. You had stop motion animation with, like, say, the walkers in The Empire Strikes Back, and the Rancor in Return of the Jedi, and model work. I mean, it's just obviously that it was a time before computer animation, so they used what they relied on. But in the 40 years that have passed, or 30 years, or however many years since Return of the Jedi was last out, I've got to think that practical effects have come a long way too, and camera work and how they photograph it. And he is not. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I read this. He is not going to film it in whatchamacallit, digital. I don't think he's going to film it. It's going to be on film. It's not going to be digital.
Oh, wow. That'll give it a nice feel too.
Yeah, because you see, the thing with digital is that it's so clear that the CGI, and many times in some films, looks like CGI. It's kind of like the old putting some Vaseline on a camera lens to help the the anchor man look a little bit better and look a little younger. So.
I do wonder a little bit about that, though. In the day of HD, and by the time this film hits, Blu-rays, it's going to be there's going to be 4K sets out there, and going back to analog is another question. I think it's a neat idea. I don't know how practical it's going to be in the long run, but we'll see.
I don't know, and I don't know if I've heard anything about filming it in 3D. I hope that they don't.
I don't. They can. 3D is a theater draw for some, so you certainly can do both. as long as you don't film it in 3D and then try to convert it to 2D.
No, you're right.
That's fine.
I happened to be in a Best Buy a couple weeks ago, Keith, and I saw one of those 4K TV sets, and it's just ridiculous.
It's like
they had some sample tape or CD or whatever running through as of New York City.
I'm sure it was a tape.
Unbelievable. Shut up.
So is that something that's going to be Blu-ray? Blu-ray will feed that, or is there a new thing coming?
Blu-ray can handle it. The problem is it's going to use up all the extra space on the Blu-ray. So you're going to, one Blu-ray disc now contains all the extras and games and all this other stuff that you can do with it. It's going to be back to like DVDs were, where it was basically just the movie and the extras will be on a separate disc.
Well, that's not bad though.
No, I think it's okay. I mean, 4K essentially is 4 standard 1080p HD screens. That's it. So it's
Okay.
like too wide and too high. So that's what 4K is.
Wow.
But it's high enough that the human eye can't pick out differences anymore. So it literally does look like you're looking at a window. They already have them in the BJ's, the local.
I don't mean not to be talking. There we go. For some, I think I have a bad USB port on this side of my laptop, so I think that's what happened before. It just cut out, and my sound and my microphone cut out, so I had to switch. Okay, so I'm sure what you said was awesome.
It was.
The 4K stuff. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of TVs, the 1080p, which is the highest resolution that the current HD TVs have, there's almost nothing that runs in that. Most TV shows, I think, most of the HD TV shows run in 720 that they can upscale to 1080i, I think.
I think a lot more is being done in 1080p now. It's become the native resolution for a lot of things. Even Netflix now is able to stream 1080p in a lot of cases. And I don't think it's a lot of upscaling anymore. That was the case, I think, a few years ago. But I know my local. I get over the air for my local stations since I'm a cord cutter, and they all stream at 1080p native now.
Oh, okay. So. That's a good topic for us to talk about maybe next week. The one news article that I was going to mention this week before the Star Wars stuff came through was the ruling coming down about cable and satellite companies or computer providers, ISPs, I think, being allowed to make a separate highway for high content. I mean, you can phrase it better than I can, Keith, for high content users, for streamers, basically.
Well, there's the deal is that they're able to negotiate. ISPs have been able to negotiate successfully now with Netflix.
Right.
Specifically to allow what they're calling is separate interconnects or peering arrangements, so that Netflix can go directly to that ISP. So if you're, for example, a Comcast customer or a Verizon customer now are the two that were in the news, your Netflix stream is going to be less hops, less points of contact on the internet before it gets to you, so it'll be faster and clearer.
But for those high content providers, they're going to charge, I think they said charge a premium for that. So you better believe that your internet bill is going to go up.
Yep.
Well,
that will probably be the end result.
Well, no, it's going the other way. They're charging Netflix.
Right, but Netflix. Okay, so your Netflix bill is going to go up.
If this takes off and becomes popular, your Netflix bill would go up.
Or maybe there will be a premium Netflix. Where you can get the high bandwidth movies.
And don't tell anybody else that I said this, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing because I actually think Netflix is really reasonably priced for what I get out of it.
Yeah, it is, and they seem to be doing a lot of things, that are. I mean, they're doing things that are breaking the core principles of net neutrality, but they're doing it for their customers in those markets. So it's kind of a bittersweet pill.
Yeah.
It sucks for me because I'm on Time Warner, and it has nothing to do with any of this. But if Time Warner gets picked up by Comcast, then in theory that would apply to me, and I'd be thrilled to have faster Netflix
Right,
as a
right.
result of that. So I'm a little biased by the fact that I'm not included this time.
What's that old stat? I think we talked about a few months back that it's like 75% of all internet traffic is Netflix.
Oh, during prime time, yeah.
Or Amazon Prime or whatever it's called, Amazon now, their streaming service. It's all streaming now.
Yeah. Well, if you combined like Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube during prime time in the United States anyway, that's like easily 95% of internet traffic.
Crazy. Okay, let's move on. I guess we don't need to talk about that next week. Let's move on to our...
Which is okay. We're going to have a busy show next week.
Quick picks. We only have 3. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. Jeremy wants to talk about giant robot slippers with sound.
Giant robot slippers with sound. So you have to go watch the video. There'll be a link in the show notes. And to see these, they're pretty big and they're kind of ugly. They look like big robot feet, and they're big, fat, puffy slippers. But when you walk, they make that classic mechanical sound of a robot, something like maybe Terminator.
Like a clanking sound?
Like the hydraulic and then the clank.
Cool.
Which you really just go watch the video. It's awesome. These are so cool. I would love to wear these at work and just walk around the hallways all day.
They don't have a Wear Your Slippers Friday? No?
Well, if you sound like a robot, nobody's going to mess with you.
True.
Listen, there's
your slippers.
Watch the video.
Hear you coming from around the corner and run like hell.
There's a Halloween costume there. You can work your giant robot slippers with sound in with a robot costume, and you got something.
Yeah, so those are pretty awesome. They're from Think Geek, so very geeky.
Of course they are.
And there's a video in action. You gotta see it.
Cool. Yeah, take
awesome
a look.
Stuff.
My pick for the week is a card game. I love promoting really good games on the show, and this week I'm going to talk about Hanabi. Hanabi is a card game from Z-Man Games, the makers of No Thanks, which I talked about in the show a little ways back. And basically this game is about fireworks. You can have up to 5 players, anywhere from 3 to 5 players, who are trying to build basically runs of fireworks. The fireworks are in order from 1 to 5, and there are 5 different colors, and you're trying to build them in order, as many as you can, before either the deck runs out or you run out of fuse, which I'll mention in a second. The trick of the game is that while each player gets a hand, they can't look at their hand. You play it like you would play that old poker game when you have the cards up on your head. You hold your cards out in front of you so that the other players can see, but not you. On your turn, you can do one of 3 things. You can give a clue to another player about something that's in their hand, either by telling them how many cards of a certain color they have or how many of a certain number they have. When you give a clue, you put one of the clue chips into the box. You only have a set number of clues that you can give during a game. And then it's up to them to kind of remember what you've told them and put it in order. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is play a card onto the fireworks to put them into order. The problem with that is if you've got, say, a 1 and 2 of the white fireworks working and you put down a 4, that is a mistake, and you do not get that card, and you lose one of your fuses. There are 3 fuses, and once the 3rd fuse is gone, you basically end the game and score it where you are. So you don't want to try to build them in order if you can. And the third thing you can do is discard a card, and when you discard a card, you get a clue chip back that you can use again later on. It's a very, very fun game. The kind of speaking in clues without giving exact information is kind of a fun thing to do, and it's a little bit of the poker and the gambling aspect to it, but you're playing cooperatively. You're trying together to build these fireworks, and it's a lot of fun. So Hanabi is my pick of the week.
I like the cooperative aspect of that.
Yeah, it's very fun. And
it sounds like a bunch of blind people trying to build fireworks, which just sounds like a whole lot of fun.
I've played this with adults, and I'm probably going to pick up I don't have the game myself. I was playing it with some friends, and I'll probably pick up the game to play with my niece and nephew because kids could easily pick this up as well, and it would be a lot of fun for them too.
Cool.
Keith's pick box is blank as usual. Keith, do you have a pick this week?
I do. I didn't get a chance to go edit the doc, so I apologize.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have added other stories beyond Star Wars. Just saying.
There you go.
But anyway, I have an app, of course. Let's should just call this segment Keith's app pick. But this time it's not a game. It's a little app called Push Bullet, and it's available for iOS and Android. And if you ever just need a quick way to send a picture or a link that you're looking at on your phone and you want to look at it on your computer monitor instead, you grab it, copy the link and paste it in the Push Bullet, and boom, it gets sent. It's really slick. There's a Chrome extension you can use that works on, well, in theory, Mac, Windows, and Linux. There's a Windows app that you can get to run in this, and of course there's an iOS and Android apps. And you go through the site and you set up each of your devices that you're possibly going to send to, whether it's your Chrome browser or your Windows computer or each of these devices, and it's just super, super handy. I'm always looking at like a link, a web page at the end of the day, and I need to send it to my phone so I can take it home and finish the article I'm reading or something. Boom, it just sends it to your phone. It shows up as a push notification on iOS, and you click it, and it's near instantaneous. It's super stupid, simple, and handy as heck. And I think it's free. The app is free. If not, it's really cheap. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was free. It has really good integration with If This Then That as well.
Yes, it does, and I haven't even touched that stuff yet. I'm simply using it to send first links back and forth, which I need to do all the time. Heck, just sending a link from my phone to my iPad is doable and simple. You just click it and go. Just to transfer between iOS devices, which should be something that Apple handles easily and never seems to work quite as well as they think. So Push Bullet makes it work really well. And the only place I've run into trouble with it is Chrome on Mac seems to only get the notification like 1 in 3 times. But if you sent it, you can go to the Push Bullet site and grab it from there. So.
Well, that's really cool. I cannot tell you how many times, even just for the show, that I found stuff while searching on my phone. I'm like, I really need to do this, and I have to copy the link, get out of whatever app I'm in, go into my mail, paste the link into my mail, send it to my email address so that I can go home, pick up that, and just go through the whole rigmarole. So I know, first world problems, right?
No, I know, but I'm with you. That's exactly what this solves, and really well. It just
I'm assuming it has good security, because you do have to put your Google information in it, right?
Yeah, I think it does use Google's app engine to power it. So you use a Google sign-in to make it all work.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so Push Bullet.
Cool.
All right, so that's it for this part of the show. To tease, though, we have a surprise coming up next week. In the weeks following, we'll return to our Texas beers and back to another one from Southern Star. But next week, we're going to take a little break from that, even though we've just started it. And we're going to do a Monday show. And on Monday's show, we are going to have the folks from Brew Salt. That's right. Keith mentioned Brew Salt on the podcast a few weeks back, and they got wind of it. I sent out a tweet where I talked about some of the games we'd mentioned and Brew Salt, and apparently the Brew Salt people found the tweet, and they favorited it and been in contact with Keith and the guys, and they sent us some samples. So we're going to try some samples live on the air. I think we're going to go with some Mexican beers like Corona or something.
It is going to be Cinco de Mayo.
That's right. So we're going. Oh, that's perfect.
It's our Cinco de Mayo episode. So we're going to get. They recommend some beers. So we're going to try to get. And this will be one of the rare cases where we don't all have the same beer. But we're going to try to get
similar styles.
We're going to have similar styles that they recommend for their salts. But I'm going to try to mix in with mine, and I think everybody else will too, at least a few Mexican beers into that, because we're going to end up with 4 beers each on this show.
Mhm.
So heads up, it should be fun by the time we get to the end.
But the reason we're doing it on a Monday is that a representative from Brewsalt is going to join us on the show while we try these out. Do we know who
so
this is?
That'll be fun. Do we know who it is?
Yeah.
Patrick McGowan.
Patrick McGowan.
So he will be joining us live.
The samples that they sent us are chocolate, lime, bacon, and habanero. Perfect for Cinco de Mayo. And I'm looking forward to this. This will be our first guest on the Pint of No Return show. So we'll have to let him know that he's sharing has a unique spot in PNR history. So.
Or we won't tell him because we want to make him think that we do this all the time and he's really not that special.
Yeah, we want to make him think we have thousands of listeners.
That's right.
So yeah, but the great thing about that, I mean, we'll try it, and I've had beer salt before, and it's good, and it does enhance the flavor. And we did some of the salt stuff a couple weeks ago, just regular salt. So I'm anticipating it'll be good, but we'll give our honest opinions, of course. But the great thing is, while we're talking about his salt, so hopefully some of his fans and some of his supporters will catch wind of our podcast and maybe give us a try. So it's cross promotion is a great thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully it'll go well. So that'll be just a few days from now. Exciting.
Yeah. By the time you guys will see this, well, this will hit the feeds tonight because Jeremy is that good.
He is.
Almost always.
Well, no pressure, but
no pressure. But he normally has this up before I wake up the next day on the East Coast. It's already up in YouTube and in the feeds and everything.
Yeah,
so,
he's good.
And then so then it'll be like 3 days before we're back. So. Got some beer shopping to do this weekend, and then we're gonna drink a lot on Monday night.
That's awesome.
Right. Should be fun.
All right, let's cash it out here.
I'd rather have
16, or if you're a geek, it's episode 18. Enjoy your beers this weekend as it warms up around the country. Good idea. Cinco de Mayo, get yourself some good Mexican beers. I'm going to do some Coronas, maybe some Dos Equis, and beer salt on Monday. Very exciting. Drink more beer!
more beer.
May the Porsche be with you.